All right, everyone, follow along, and I'm going to turn this pile of boxes into an incredible Wi-Fi network and Ethernet, for that matter, at my property. I'm going to have this cover multiple acres of both indoor, 4 buildings, as well as many acres of outdoor space, yard space, and I have about 100, give or take, devices that I typically have on my Wi-Fi network, with only a handful of those being wired ones. The wired ones are typically something like PoE, which means power over Ethernet, security cameras, or their own APs that have Ethernet. But the rest of my devices, cell phones, TVs, computers, most of them are all Wi-Fi. So this stuff here is from TP-Link. It is their Omada system, which is a fantastic expandable system that you can easily scale to whatever size that you need.
But this is applicable to you if you have just a house that you have some poor Wi-Fi coverage on a certain corner or a certain floor, or if you have a backyard, a pool, or a barn, a separate building like a garage that you want to get Wi-Fi into, or if you have a multi-unit, multi-family apartment dwelling, this system can scale to that as well. Alright, so our property here is about 50 acres total, but really what I focus on, what I call the yard, is about 5 acres or something. And it has 4 buildings. It has the main house, it has a barn, it has a detached garage, and it has a pond house down by the pond. So the only building that has Ethernet is mainly the house, and then I did run Ethernet from the house to the barn, which is there between the house and the tennis court. So those ones have Ethernet between all of the APs, but then the other ones from the house down to the pond and from the barn to that back barn is wireless. So it's a Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi mesh system that connects those two devices to each other.
So for these devices, if you see the BE11000 blasted across the top of some of these boxes, the BE is the Wi-Fi 7 nomenclature. So these are all Wi-Fi 7 components from the Wi-Fi AP standpoint. And then the 11,000, I think, refers to the total combined aggregate bandwidth that these can handle. So that would be like 11 gigs of throughput. That's combined from the 6 gigahertz channel, the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi channel, and the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi channel. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to unbox these a little bit, show you a little bit about them, but really I want to go install the full system across my property. I will lay it out and show you how I've had that done. And then of course we have to test the performance of it to see just how well it goes. Now I'm not getting paid to do this video. This is something that I have at my property. I've had a past TP-Link Omada system that I paid for myself. I installed that was their Wi-Fi 6 setup. I have switched that out, namely for video for testing with an HPE networking instant on setup. That's a Wi-Fi 6 setup that I have been using here the past several weeks. And so then TP-Link did reach out and they wanted to provide these components for me to also switch it again, because I guess I like doing that. And we're doing now a Wi-Fi 7 setup. So that is what I'm going to go through here, is show you what parts I get. I did basically specify this based on what I thought my needs were, and I'm pretty excited to test it out and see how well it does. I have lots of robots that cut my yard now, and it helps. They don't all require Wi-Fi, but it helps if my entire yard, which is about 4 acres of grass that I cut, all has great Wi-Fi coverage. So we'll see how well this does. All right, so open up the access points, these APs, and so the first one I have is the wall unit. So this is a EAP 725 dash wall, and this is really designed to go on a standard electrical box. So it can go on a single gang electrical box, and it includes the screws to go straight into that, and then you can have your Ethernet from the back side, and then the bottom of it, it has a couple Ethernet outs, including a PoE out on here, assuming that it's fed with PoE on the backside. So this one has the 1 gig Ethernet standard output, and then the 2.5 gig, which is also PoE capable. And then the other indoor unit is this EAP 772, and this is one of their better units. This is Wi-Fi 7, as I mentioned before. And again, it does come with a couple of little attachments here that you can have. So this is the wall mount, or the ceiling mount, that gets bolted in there, and then you put the AP on it, and then you rotate it and twist it, and it locks into place. And besides this standard one, it does have a couple other mounting options that it comes included with some screws and hardware in there as well. And then it does come with a little plastic cover. This is if you wanted to hide where the wires come in and out. If you have a way to snake them away, this gives it a nice finished look, which is kind of nice because I haven't seen that on most other APs I've dealt with. And then for the outdoor unit, so this is all outdoor, weather rated, can stay all out there in the rain, the sunshine, the cold, the hot, all that kind of good stuff. This is basically the outdoor version of this one, so it's EAP 772 again, but now a dash outdoor. And so this one gets attached either to a wall with this flat bracket, so you screw this to the wall, and then this just slides on like that, and it snaps into place. Or if you want to go on a pole mount, which is what I'm going to do, I think in all my places, it includes 2 metal hose clamps, and they have little slots that go through this bracket with the curvature there that will allow you to go straight to a pole. So that's a very simple installation. This one just has the Ethernet port on it, so that's again power over Ethernet is how they're designed to be powered. The outdoor one, I don't believe has the ability to have an external power supply, but the indoor ones do. So the indoor ones have the Ethernet, which is PoE in, and then they also have a 12 volt port that you can buy. And some of them, if you pay attention when you buy it, I think some say they include the AC adapter and some do not. Obviously, it's a little bit more expensive if you buy the adapter. So mine do not have it because I plan to do PoE on it. All right, so in this top box, they did send me a fiber connection, SFP connection that will go from the router to typically like a cable or fiber modem. I do not have a output that with a WAN or a direct need for this, but what I did buy on my own outside that is a couple adapters. So this allows me to still use this 10 gig port, which is the SFP, but then I'm going to convert it to a RJ45 so I can run a standard Ethernet cable because I do have multiple WANs out there that I can use. So I have 5 or 6 cellular based internet, T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, and so obviously I can hook those up and do multiple WAN if I have the ability to do that. So I bought a couple of these. I'll put links to all this stuff down below in case you want to buy something similar. Alright, so this one on the top is the ER8411 router. So this one is really what's going to take in all of my different WAN inputs. You can see here it has multiple ports that are configurable between WAN or LAN depending on your needs. It has SFP plus as well as regular SFP. It has console, has USB 2.0, and it has a USB that's designated as like a LTE for like a backup modem or whatnot that you have. Now it comes with brackets so it can be rack mounted that they just go on here. It's got little rubber feet, and it gives you a power cable, and then let's see what else it gives you. Oh, like I guess this is probably the console cable that goes from RJ45 to the console there. And then below it here I have my managed switch. So this one is a SG3428 XPP-M2. So that's a 24 port managed switch. 16 of those are PoE output and 8 of them are PoE plus on here. So it's a level 2 managed switch. And you can see on here that it also has the SFP ports in there as well. So this is how I'm going to get my PoE out to both my APs as well as some of my cameras and other systems that I have that rely on PoE through the Ethernet. So these are really 2 expensive items that you could get away with not having this larger one, especially for this size of setup. This is overkill. I think this bottom managed switch is probably about $700 for retail, and I think this router is probably in like the $400 range. So you can get away with something a little bit lower spec if you wanted to for home, and you don't have plans to expand or have needs for all this extra PoE stuff as well. So the only other thing that you really need to consider to have is a controller. So I do have a OC300 Omada controller that I've used in the past. So I still have that, and that still works. That's going to allow me to do more managing of the system as a single ecosystem. It also allows the remote access, so I can remotely manage it, or if I was a provider or a service provider for someone, gives you access for that. Now they do come with free cloud management, and that's I think they call it basic or essential free cloud. And when you do that, it does allow you to do some configuration stuff. But if you want extra advanced settings, then you do want to have a on-prem managed cloud hardware unit there, and you can run it actually on your own hardware if you wanted to, like a computer. A server can run it if you have that option. Otherwise, you can just buy their little OC200 or OC300, and that can do it as well. All right, and there's one more thing that I don't think I'm going to use, but I will if I need to, and that is a point-to-point bridge. So if I have a place where I need to get from one location to another, and I don't want to connect an AP to an AP, because these are typically more like an omnidirectional antenna, so they're not going to be as good for a straight line. This, I believe they claim, can do like 1 kilometer. They do have the this is an EAP 211 bridge kit. They have an EAP 215 bridge kit, and the main difference between those two kits is the 211 has a 70-degree cone of output that you have to aim these for, whereas the 215 has like a 35-degree cone, so it's more sensitive to aiming, but it allows it to travel further. But what this will do is, if I need to go from, let's say, one building to another building, or one site to another site, especially if you have line of sight, meaning you can see from one place to the other, this can beam it across. And so that is one option. I think for my location, even though I do have 2 buildings that are have no Ethernet between them and the next building, I've been able to use the APs to do Wi-Fi meshing, and that has worked well. But if I run into a problem, I can add this into the system, and that will just further speed up that connection between those 2 points. All right, well, let me get cranking on trying to get this stuff installed, and we'll see how it works. All right, so this is my networking closet in the basement. Also have a few toys for the kids down here as well, but you can see this is where I had my old TP-Link setup. I was able to take the old one off and the bracket off the old one, and then I was able to use the same screw holes for this new one. It has multiple different options that you can pick from, so that went in there very easily. And then I left my OC300. This is the hardware controller that it's optional, but I do like having it. And then this is now the switch, the managed switch, and so these are all PoE plus and PoE plus plus. There's 8 that are plus plus ones, and this is now replacing my old setup. I had another brand, just unmanaged switch for PoE injection, but now I have a lot more ports here that I can use to power this unit. So now my setup here is these Ethernet ports go one, or actually 2 of them, go up to the 3rd floor loft where the router actually is, and that's where my WAN connections are. That comes down here into the switch, and then these other ones go out to either another building or to the APs that are around the house. Now that I have this plugged in and I have this plugged in, I need to provision them. Easy as that. Now just hit provision. So once I have it installed, this is my last one, but you can see that it shows up. The green light on there, it's kind of doing like a slow blink on there, and then you can see that it shows up here as pending, and it shows the little Wi-Fi symbol beside it, which means that it is pending wirelessly. So it's not Ethernet backhaul, because this little pond house is all by itself, and it's going, that one AP is going to have to connect back to the house via Wi-Fi. So it already tells that. I go in here, and then I tell it what AP uplink I want to use. Here it's going to tell you which one it recommends. The house outdoor is the one that is actually facing this way, so it makes the most sense that it has a good connection. So it recommends you pick that. Now you can always change this stuff later, but now it's going to go through the adopting process, configuration, and then it'll be connected in just a minute or so. Okay, so now it is connected. It's got its IP address. I can see the signal strength is great there, so that's awesome. That it works well. So let's do a quick speed test and just see where we get down here, a couple hundred feet away from the house, and it has to go through the. So I'm basically, my phone should be connected to that guy. That guy should be connected to the house, and then the house goes through. Actually, I think the wall AP, the little EAP 725 wall, and then that goes down to the switch, and then that switch then goes back up to the third floor where there's the router, and then goes out through the ISP. So a little bit slower than the house, but this is still very impressive. For not having to run Ethernet, I just have two Wi-Fi APs connected to each other without a bridge or anything. So I don't need to use the bridge for this setup. I have a pretty good line of sight, so that works out well. All right, so just to show you where it is, that is the pond, what I'm calling the pond. And then up here at the house, right below the roof line, there's a white rectangle. That is the other, that's the house AP. So that one is beaming it out the whole side yard here. I think it's maybe like 200 feet or give or take down here to the pond house, and then that's where that one gets connected, and then it repeats it out again for itself. All right, so I'm down here at my pond, and now we are several hundred feet away from the house, but we're only a few feet away from the pond house, which has the AP on the other side of it, pointed up at the house up that hill. So if I do a speed test here, we can look and see what kind of speed we get down here at the pond. And obviously we're going through a couple different APs, through Ethernet, through Wi-Fi, different things here. So we're getting about 150 down, and then still very good upload as well. So that shows you that I have plenty of speed down here to watch movies, stream, play on Facebook, whatever I want to do, watch YouTubes down here, even out there farther out into the pond. All right, so now I'm heading down away from the house towards the wetlands. So this gets me again several hundred feet away, but if you have a good eye back there on the back side of the house, there is one of those white rectangles. That's the AP that's up there underneath the roof. So I can go down here, and I mean, I still show 4 or 5 bars, full signal basically is what it's saying on my phone. Still on Wi-Fi. Looks like I just dropped down to 4 now, but now I'm down here and back to 5 again. So I can go ahead and do a retest and see what kind of speed I get connected up there to that house. There we go, 250, 300. So when you have a clear line of sight, obviously it's going to travel a lot farther than when there's trees or buildings or other obstruction in the way. So when I have visibility of the AP to my device, then I get some great speeds, 300 down and 70 up. So I can be right down here anywhere on my yard and get some great speeds. All right, so now we're just in the large side yard. Got a lot of open space here. Got a playground. You can see my little robot, one of the robot mowers running around behind me here. And we can just get our speed all the way out here. Again, I should be getting pretty dang close to the ISP speed when I'm out here. Maybe I'm a little bit slower because I have APs. There's one on the back side of that building. There's one on the back of the far building. There's some in the basement, other side of the house. So I'm probably connecting to the barn one, building 2 I call it here, that I'm connected to. So I'm a little bit slower on upload here for whatever reason, but still getting some great download speed.
So now if you have this this aerial view in mind, and then we look at this next one, this is the same aerial view. It's a little harder to see because of the color, but that color coding is the Wi-Fi signal strength that I'm getting with this new Wi-Fi 7 system across all of these. So have 5 acres or something is colored here, and basically anything in yellow or green, you're getting plenty good signal to stream 4K, stream 8K video, that kind of stuff. If it gets to the orange or the red on the far right side, you have really bad quality. Most likely you might not even get a connection there. But so you can see here, for my main house, all the buildings, all the yard, the tennis courts, all that stuff, it is in almost all green. Some of it is a little bit yellow. And then what I did is went through and also did speed tests. So I'll get into more details of that stuff here in a little bit. Okay, so here is a drone shot that I took that has an overlay there. You can see the white boxes and the yellow outlines. That is approximately where I put some of these outdoor AP units. So you can see in the kind of bottom left by the pond, there's one on the outside of the pond house, and that one connects up to the house at the one that is above the garage a little bit to the right. And then the other one that's on the house, on towards the front side of the house, that one's actually in the attic space. So it's not actually outdoors, it's actually in the attic space. But then I also have one on the outside of the barn, between the barn and the tennis court on the tennis court side. And then the circle one is actually inside the barn. So that one is an indoor one for the barn, just to make sure that it gets good signal there and also kind of gets more signal between the barn and the house. And then on the far back barn, you can see that one has one on its corner there, and that one connects wirelessly to the other barn to get a connection. So then the one last thing I did do after I did this, I still was a little bit weaker than I wanted to be in the front of the house in that island. So I have that one to help further get Wi-Fi down the driveway. Then if we zoom in on the house here, sorry about the formatting, looks like Google Sheets kind of messed it up there with the text. But here you can see on the left side you have the outdoor one I talked about before. On the top you can see the attic one that I was talking about. But then the interior one, so this is what I would call more like what I need for the house inside. The basement one, which I'm down in the basement right now, that one is kind of in the middle of the house. The house footprint's about 2,500 square feet. So that one's right in the middle, and that one fully gets my basement without a problem. But then up on the first floor, I have another one of those units. That's the EAP 772. And that one's in kind of the office, the front office space of that first floor. And then on the second floor, I have the wall unit. Now, I call it the second floor, but it's kind of in the great room of the kitchen. So it's a wide open space that actually covers really that whole half of the house. And that's kind of why the other one's in the office on the right side. So that's what I have set up, and that's how I get the coverage I need for my devices. Okay, so if we look at the three main units that I have set up here, it's the EAP 772, it's the EAP 772-outdoor, and then it's the EAP 725-wall. Now they have several other Wi-Fi 7 units in there, and some of them are the similar or same form factor there, but they have either different power. They do come in different sizes as well. If you get a less powerful one, normally they're smaller form factor, and if you try to get their biggest, strongest one, it's going to be a bigger form factor here. But I really do like that 725 wall unit because it's so nice and clean of an install. If you have a outlet, especially that's Ethernet in it, that just goes right on there. It gives you 2 gigabit outputs as well as the 2.5 gig power over E pass through as well. So I'm using that to power one of the, see, I'm powering the outdoor house outdoor one that points towards a pond through that that kitchen one there. Okay, so real fast, I'm just going to show you the app. This is the Omada app now. They actually are releasing a whole new redesign on the user interface, and I got a little sneak peek of it, and it looks way improved. Because that was probably my biggest complaint about this, is that this interface is a little bit unintuitive and cumbersome to work through. But I'm going to show you just the highlights to see what you can see out of it. And the key thing here with the Omada system, like any of these more enterprise or small business focused ones, is I call them like plug and play. Once you set up your system and you establish what your Wi-Fi network is and you establish that kind of stuff, if you add a new access point at any point in the future, it will automatically take your settings that you've already set up and just adopt them and then start to send out that same network setting out there. So really cool that it does that. If I click into here, you can see I have 92 clients total on my system. I have a switch and I have 10 EAP, so 10 access points. So you can see the internet comes in on a 10 gig port there, which is overkill. Then I have my main router. and I actually have several WAN inputs, so I have multiple ISPs plugged in. I can do load balancing and stuff in there. I'm not gonna go through all those settings for you here, but that is what you can do. Then I have the basement switch, which is that large PoE switch, and from that unit, I am powering most of these other APs directly off of it. So you can see I have the office there, I have the controller, I have the basement, I have a client group, which just means that there's a group of hardwired clients. Then you can see I have the kitchen, which is that wall unit, and then from that wall unit, you can see right here in this topology map that the house outdoor unit is plugged into that kitchen unit. And then you can also see that there is a client group attached. So I can click on any of these numbers and expand it, and I can see which devices visually are connected to these different ones. So here you can see that like the flagpole one, the dotted line means that it is connected via wireless, not by Ethernet. And it was really cool here because it shows you that it's 61 dBm. So it shows me my connection strength, which is a good connection strength. And it also shows me even a speed that it thinks that connection is capable of doing. So same thing here for the building outdoor. Building 2 outdoor, I mean, it's going to building 3 outdoor. And you can see it has a minus 67 dB and about 700 or 800 megabits per second of speed connection there. So I do really like this topology one. It's nice and convenient to get you a quick idea of what's going on. On my clients, I can see my most active ones, which ones are using the most data, as well as what the frequency distribution is amongst the different devices. Alright, so then in the settings, this is one interesting thing because for the main router, I really only have one LAN output that I'm using. The other ones I can switch on and make them WAN ports if I want to. So in this case right now, I just have 3 of them switched to WAN ports, but I could have up to all of these switched on as WAN ports, and so I could literally have almost a dozen different WAN options, and I can load balance amongst them. This would obviously be if you were a much larger commercial setup. If you're a home user, you're probably going to have one main ISP, and then you might have a cellular or something backup one for you. Or in my case, I have several cellular ones, and I can load balance across them, or I can auto switch between them if they fail, and whatnot. So I won't go into all those details in there, but that is where that is set up. And then the other key thing is on your LAN settings, you can set up VLANs, which is a virtual LAN. So I actually have my main Omada switch, which is PoE capable, and I had some setups for my Yarbo, which is my modular yard robot. It has a RTK unit that's PoE, so power over Ethernet powered. And I was able to get rid of that injector because I had that out there, and I was able to hook a line directly up from the switch now to go straight to that, which is great. And then one of my outdoor modems is also up on the TV tower, so I'm able to run power over Ethernet from the switch to that outdoor modem. But if I did that without having a virtual LAN, then that would be hooking up a WAN to my LAN, which if you don't know what that means, it means like it's going to confuse the network because I need to have that outdoor modem go into my main router and take it in as the internet. So to do that, I actually made a virtual LAN where I told the switch, hey, this port here, like port 24, that goes to my outdoor modem. So then I had another cable that went from port 23, and that went up to the modem, or sorry, to the router, and then I told the switch, hey, port 24 and port 23, make them basically their own little network. They don't talk to any other ports. And what it basically ended up giving me is it made the switch a very fancy PoE injector for my outdoor modem. So that might be a little bit too much information for most people, but those are some of the things that you can configure and set up on these devices that give you a lot of flexibility that a standard home Wi-Fi router or Wi-Fi mesh system just doesn't give you those options. Now, of course, there's lots of other settings that you can go in there and mess with. These are, of course, more advanced than you'll get any kind of home Wi-Fi system, even a Wi-Fi mesh system. This allows me to set up almost as many Wi-Fi networks as I want to. They could be a guest network. I can limit their speeds for each of those devices. I can add passwords, no passwords. If I'm a business, I can add in a portable login. where they have to type in, even a password to get in there. You can obviously do all types of firewall, VPN. You can do filtering, you name it. Basically, the Omada system can probably do it. So that's a little preview there of some of the settings.